one. Whatever people want to do. I want to have a lot of content out there for you guys. My internet actually was shut down today, so I was worried I wasn't gonna get the stream because one of my roommates didn't pay it, the internet bill. So my other roommate paid it because I'm completely broke right now. So that actually works out really well for me. Alright, starting items, Spell Thief, Morgana, that's essential because your W or Tormented Soil on the ground, if they stand in it, you get gold for each tick, and it ticks instantly when you place it, so if you place it on their ADC and support, you instantly get 10 gold and do that extra damage. That's really good. Doran's Ring on Ziggs. That's pretty much what you always get. Crystalline Flask is your other option on mids, but Ziggs has so much range that you don't need that, and Doran's Ring is perfectly fine. Alright, starting mana, Sapphire Crystal, that's completely standard on him because he scales better off mana than he does AP. So Doran's Ring would be suboptimal, and it doesn't even scale into anything because you can't upgrade it. And Rise wants to rush a tier as soon as possible. Thresh with the coin, I said this last video, please don't do that, it's terrible on Thresh. You can get it later in the game, but getting it first item makes you just so weak in lane, it gives you no combat stats, and I expect them to lose lane solely because of that buy. What's my job? You can look in the frequently asked questions to find that answer. I'm a teacher's assistant for my business school for a business analytics class. It uses Excel to like simulate possible business situations and things. But double Dorans and double Machete, that's standard on ADCs and jungles. So pretty standard starts here from everybody item-wise. So as Ziggs against Veigar, I imagine Veigar's just going to be trying to stack his Q and ability power up as early as possible, especially in the early lane where he doesn't have anything else. So as Ziggs, you want to really use this time to try and abuse him with your Q, because your range is much longer than Veigar's. So if any time you see him step near the minions, you just instantly throw it so it explodes on him and the minions. Otherwise, you probably want to save it for when he goes to get a last hit. So like in this situation, when you know he's going to get that last hit, you throw your Q right at the minions right here, and it blows up and you get a guaranteed hit on him. That's what you want to play a lot of laners, especially with a lot of range, like Caitlyn. Oh god. You just wait for them to go to... when you know they're going to go for a CS, and you just hit them with an easy skill shot that's pretty much guaranteed to land. And if he's going for like a minion like that one went earlier, then you could just Q him and auto him as well and chunk him for a decent amount. Especially because Ziggs has that passive, which makes his next auto attack after a while do increased damage. So against Veigar, also another good strategy is like if you're not able to hit him with your bombs because he's playing passively, just shove him into a tower. Continue to use your Q on the minion wave and E and just clear it instantly. And make sure that he's not able to see us easily. But when you push hard, and like the strategy I was just talking about, it leaves you extremely vulnerable to ganks, just like that. So you want to place your Trinket Ward at about 315, because that's when junglers are going to gank. So if you see their top laner come to lane late, then you know their jungler probably started blue. And if you see their bottom lane come late, he's probably started red. So you can use your Trinket Ward at 315 on the opposite side of where he started. So that way you can see when he's coming in for a gank, if he comes right after doing his buffs. And that will prevent you from dying to the level 3 double buff gank that a lot of junglers do. Wukong's not that good early game gank-wise because he has no hard CC. So, I mean, she was pretty safe there, and she didn't get hit by the stun from Veigar either, so there's no way she's going to die. But just continuing to shove the tower here is going to be a good move. You got to be careful with the Wukong ganks, but you did put your ward down, so that was a good move there to prevent getting re-ganked. But you're already out of mana because you've been spamming so hard. It's best, especially on champions like Ziggs, to try and keep your mana at about 20-30%, usually enough for a combo. Especially on Ziggs, because you're going to need your satchel to escape from a gank, and if you throw a Q right before or something and you don't have enough mana for the satchel, you're going to hate yourself. So try and keep at 20-30% mana-ish. It's like, you know he's going to go for that CS right there, obviously. because it's a cannon, so you could have thrown a Q there and autoed him. I mean, you don't have a lot of mana at this point, so an auto would have been just fine because you had the empowered auto. Yeah, I was going to be an accountant, but I changed because not only is it like the most common major and everything. Oh, why does it keep minimizing? Not only is it the most common major, but it's also pretty boring. But, you know, if that's what you want to do, then I wish you the best of luck, definitely. MF died to Volibear's gank, so this is what I'm talking about. Volibear's gank stronger than Wukong's early. Because he has that flip, he actually can bring... It's not CC, but it might as well be. I mean, I guess it's pretty much CC, because they get thrown in the air, as well as their position flipped. So, he's really good in the early game, but his team fighting ability, unless you get fed, is pretty lackluster. He is tanky, though, because of his passive. So, yeah, completely out of mana. You probably want to just try and shove the wave and get a Chalice as soon as possible. Ziggs is really good with Chalice, especially against AP characters like Veigar. If you get a Chalice early, that means that when Veigar hits 6, you're not going to have any AP, and you're going to have that magic resist, so you're not nearly as vulnerable to his early all-in Veigar plays. But you're really out of mana because of how hard you were spamming early, so it's hard. Now you can't really push the wave, and you're probably going to lose a minion wave because of it. Veigar's probably going to shove. So that's why you want to conserve some mana and be able to at least wave clear, because you never know when you're going to need that. Volibear's actually doing a pretty good job, even though he's not going to get a kill here, preventing Veigar shoving the wave into the tower. So as long as he doesn't die, and Ziggs buys quickly, then should be fine. You actually went for a Blasting Wand, which against Veigar is probably going to bite you in the ass, because he has his ultimate does 80% of your AP damage as well. Getting that prevents you from getting the magic resist from the Chalice, and that's going to make sure that you take more damage and will probably leave you pretty vulnerable. You do still have the exhaust, but you don't want to have to rely on that spell because, you know, it would be useful in fights against other characters like Ryze and Wukong. You're ahead in CS, which is good. Ziggs should be ahead of most characters in mid because he has really good farming potential with his abilities. But right now you're in critical danger of being one-shot by Veigar, even though he has no exhaust. Or no, okay, so you did use the exhaust there. Yeah, if you had Ignite, that might have been a kill, but he didn't. But that was... Looks like Volibear is going really freaking hard here. Really good play by Volibear to capitalize on Veigar going all in on you, so that was a good bait, and good use of exhaust there. You knew his burst was coming down because he wanted you, so that's why you take the exhaust these days. 50% reduced damage makes it better against assassins, and in this case Veigar is an assassin. So you still want to get the Chalice as soon as possible though, because spamming abilities on any mid laner, especially Ziggs, is always very nice. And having the Athenes will give you 20% CDR on top of that, so you'll be able to spam your ulti more and everything. But looks like Volibear's giving you blue, which is worth more than the Chalice, obviously. And hopefully you have the mastery that gives you 20% buff duration. On most mid laners, I go 2109. You have to be a little more confident in your ability to not get bursted out and, you know, dodging important bursts. But against almost all AP mid laners, that's what I end up running. If I'm against like a counter pick, like let's say I'm playing Italy against Talon, then that'd be like the only situation that I would go 21-9. Because you're probably going to end up wanting that last little bit of health when he does try and burst you, because you know it's going to happen. But so when you have blue buff, you can shove pretty hard, but you do have a ward and you have your trinket ward, so it looks to me like you probably want to go back and buy something. I don't know, a Chalice or what, but if you go back, you waste a lot of the duration on blue buff. So I'd say it would not be a bad idea to just place your wards on both sides of mid and just shove, like push, not only push, but also sit there while with him under his tower trying to last hit, just throwing Qs constantly and trying to deny him as much C as possible because Vagar is able to scale indefinitely, and if you just let him do that, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Yeah, so having that AP really hurting against Vagar. You didn't get quite bursted out there, but his cooldowns on his ultimate and rest of his abilities are shorter than exhaust time, and yes, Wukong was ready for that one. Um, I guess probably would have been better to just go back a little further before you back, but you didn't know Wukong was there. Had you done what I said earlier about putting wards on each side and shoving the tower, you would have seen Wukong come the first time, and you would have known it probably would have been a better idea to go back further. But you still have the ward for later, like now. So now that you have the chalice, I mean, that's a semi-blue buff. So, I mean, it does sort of the same thing. So just drop your wards on both sides of mid and continue to just shove him. It's probably a good idea also to pick up some health potions if you have enough money. Um, it's not always necessary to get health potions, but on champs with no sustain, health potions can really go a long way, especially when you're against a champ with a lot of burst. Because if you're at half and you have no way to restore any health, you're always in danger of being, bursted out. And one health potion could save you from, where you're low on health and you get zoned out because you're scared of getting killed. Looks like Vagar's going for Athene's. When you see that, especially on a Vagar, that means it's probably going to be a pretty passive lane where his goal is just going to be to farm up as many stacks on his Q as possible, which is why he wants all the mana regen and cooldown reduction. Because if he had gone for, let's say, a Deathfire's Grasp, he wouldn't be nearly as good at farming and stacking his Q, but his burst and kill potential would be a lot higher. So 5 players builds, unless they really don't know what they're doing and they're just building an item because they saw a pro do it, you can often learn a lot about how they're going to be playing the next few minutes of a game. So Ziggs has that really long range. If you are in a situation where you're scared and you're against someone who's pretty terrifying, honestly, like Vagar, then you're safe to farm at really long range. This is why it's important on Ziggs to really get an early advantage because of their huge range. So that's when it's really important, like I was saying earlier, to watch for them when they go for the CS and try and place a bomb that if they go for the CS and they get the last hit, that they're going to take damage for it. Because you don't want to give anything away for free, especially when you have the range advantage. Just like if you're playing Caitlyn in bot lane. You want to stop them from getting as much CS as possible, and if they do get it, they take an auto attack to the face. That's why Karma Caitlyn's such a scary bot lane, because if you go for a CS, at least in like Diamond and stuff, because people know to abuse the range. If you go for a CS, you just take 2 autos and a Karma Q to the face, which over time, after a few waves, will really hurt you. So the blasting wand is going to delay the Athenes. If you hadn't gone for the blasting wand, you would have an Athenes right now, which is insanely good against Vagar. Because while it does give you AP, and a 40 MR is really going to help a lot in the early game against the Vagar when he doesn't have a lot of AP yet, so he relies on you having AP. Uh-oh. Wow, he accidentally did it to... Oh, wow. The Shen ulti. So Vagar accidentally ulted. Oh, nice taunt. Ooh. He doesn't have flash. Wow, that's a double. Nice. So Vagar accidentally ulted... Volibear there, so that really that was a huge mistake because then Shen was able to TP and save Ziggs from the Wukong ult, and they were able to turn it around and get 2 kills. So that's really good for them. They're ahead 2,000 gold, and when you're ahead on Ziggs, there's nothing better than that. You can really just abuse the fact that you have insane range and just destroy people, and they don't even have a chance to respond because your range is just far superior. And that's why Ziggs cannot be a problem and can just feed, or he can be absolutely huge and just carry a game with his raw AoE damage output at like insane ranges. Because if you group up in a fight and you're not focusing Ziggs, and even if you are focusing Ziggs, because he can throw down a lot of that damage before he dies pretty easily. And one combo from Ziggs on your whole team, including his ultimate, is it's gonna put on a lot of pain. And even if you kill Ziggs, the rest of his team is probably gonna be able to win the fight. And that's why also Hourglass pretty good on Ziggs, because a lot of the times because he's got so much range, people like to dive on top of him, just like you like to dive on top of Caitlyn. So the Hourglass prevents her from killing you, and then you can separate or create distance between you two with the satchel, and then continue to rain down hell, or in this case, snowballs. So Veigar went with the Magic Man boots early, so I'm kind of surprised by that, honestly, because his build initially looked like it was going to be like a farm and to get to late game Veigar type deal, but he's been playing really aggressive and he hasn't exactly had quite enough damage because of his build. Had he gone for the Deathfire's Grasp, he probably would have picked up a few more kills, and instead now he's opting to go for the Sorcerer's Shoe, so he's kind of splitting between bursting and farming hard, where I think it would have been better to just get the Athenes first, because it's so gold efficient. Spending 750 on 15 Magic Pen and some movement speed, yeah, it's great and all, but if you could have gotten Athenes instead, I don't think it's worth it. It's just, he doesn't have the damage anymore, really, to kill you with that Athenes. And your team is doing really well elsewhere on the map, and now you guys have gained up to a 3,000 gold lead. I honestly think that you guys should just force a dragon at this point. It's a little scary because there's obviously Veigar who can burst somebody out, and Wukong who's really good at stopping the early dragons just by, you know, having his ultimate and people group up around Dragon Pit. But if you can get some good wards in their jungle, because everyone has a trinket ward on your team, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. If you can get some good wards in their jungle, maybe at their race or even their wolves or white, then you can either know that Wukong's doing his wolves and try and kill him there, or know that he's doing his white and won't be able to make it to dragon in time. And then you can just force the dragon and easily, you know, get that free objective. I mean, there's no point really in going for the very early dragons, like 6, 7, 8 minutes. Those really don't give you a lot of gold, but around 15 minutes, that's when it becomes, you know, pretty worthwhile, and the dragon doesn't just kill you all on his own. Still out CSing Veigar. Let's see how many stacks he has on his queue. He's built up 83 ability power, so he's actually ahead of you on ability power by a pretty good amount. So that's, like, once again, when it comes in handy to deny him as much as you can early, because not only does it deny him those stacks, or at least give you a land advantage if he does go in and take the damage for the stacks, but that will deny his build quicker. And if God, I don't understand this Veigar's build. Why do you gonna need this? But if you deny his build, then you can deny his mana regen and cooldown reduction, and then that prevents even more stacks. So it's kind of like taking precautionary measures early in the game to make sure that the champions don't even do anything late game. And that's really what you want to give as many early advantages as you can. Holy Veigar. Wow. I don't think I've seen you ult this game. I'm pretty sure I haven't. But either way, Veigar flashed in for that, and you did a good job of not moving into the sun and instead keeping calm and killing him. I'm not quite sure if you could have gotten that combo off and still dodged his W, because you definitely would have survived. But you did have rank 2 boots, so there was a chance that maybe it was possible. I'm not entirely sure. And Volibear is pissed off. He's going hard as usual. Alright, so it looks like Vagar just wanted the Chalice to have some extra mana regen, which is pretty essential on Vagar. And it looks like he actually turned, well, looked to me like an Athene's into freaking DFG. So he's going to have a lot more burst potential on you, and you haven't built up any additional MR. So you have to be really careful, and instead of getting anywhere close to him, it's best to just try and poke him with your Q's long range, just like it always is on Ziggs against pretty much anyone. He is a champion built around long range, and if you don't abuse it to perfection, then you're not playing the champion to perfection. And now that you have a blue buff, you're going to be a bigger target for Wukong ganks, and obviously Vagar is going to really want that blue buff. So you got to be extremely careful not to have that happen to you, but you had a good exhaust, definitely saved your life. He really wants it, and he's going to give up the chase. Landing against a Vagar who has had the chance to not get ahead, but stay even with you is always really scary. And Ziggs doesn't have the option to go for the Abyssal Scepter because he would waste it because the range is just so short and he wouldn't be able to really do anything, and you wouldn't want to get any other magic resist items this early in the game. Like anything that would cut your damage down as Ziggs is not worth it this early in the game. Like the late game, a Banshee's Veil is exactly what you want, but if you built a Banshee's Veil now, that would just be dumb and you would lose just for the fact that you have no damage. Ooh, nice. Oh, that was a nice ulti. RIP. Oh my, that was a nice ulti as well. But yeah, so it's hard to itemize for any more magic resist than the Athene's Unholy Grail early game. So you just need to try and shut him down early. That's really the most efficient way to deal with him. And that way, you know, you don't have to constantly be backing. You don't have to constantly be playing in fear. Because you know that he's not going to be able to one-shot you very easily. But at this point, since, you know, you guys are even, he's able to scare you off pretty easily and force you out of lane every time you come back in, which is hurting your farm. You still are Ziggs, and you still have really good farm. But, I mean, if you were frogging right now, you'd have like 230, so it's just something to work towards and always improving. That's all you can really do. No one's going to be frogging overnight, except for maybe frogging. Yeah, so you know Vagar has DFG and it has ult. This health is critical danger. I think it's 850 health you have. That would easily die to Vagar, and since you don't have exhaust, you're forced to go back. One nice thing about Ziggs, though, even though you may be constantly getting shoved out of lane, you can use your ultimate to clear the wave if he does shove it. And Vagar can actually shove pretty well once he gets a few levels into his W or a good amount of AP. So, you know, even though you're constantly being pushed back, if you're gonna miss this wave, which it doesn't look like you're gonna miss that much, so it's not worth ulting. But if you're gonna miss that wave, then you can easily just ult it. Wow, this Vagar, holy shit! Yeah, so Vagar's gotten to that point where he can just insta kill you. So even you need to be outside of his E range at all times, otherwise you're just gonna instantly die. And I don't, even though you just got one shot, and you're probably going to continue to get one shot if you step out a little too far, I don't think it's worth itemizing magic resist. It just hurts your damage so much, and I guess, actually, maybe I take that back. In this game, and only this game, because your team is ahead, and you don't want Corki to get fed, and I mean, you don't want Vagar to get fed and insta-kill Corki, then it may actually be a good idea to get some MR. I would honestly, I'd probably get a Banshee's Veil, because if your team's not winning and you have to do damage on Ziggs in team fights, then sure, you definitely want to go all AP, and I would almost never suggest getting MR this early. But your team is destroying. Everyone on your team is positive, so just say fuck it, get the MR, and then he tries to burst you out, and you're just like, oh, he's got a freaking Banshee's Veil. What the fuck? And then instantly you don't die to him anymore. He doesn't get any more fed, and you guys can continue to snowball. Ooh, you guys can continue to snowball to victory. So you want to use exhaust before he does his burst. You kind of waited until he was like halfway through his burst to drop it. If you're gonna run exhaust, you do it before, and if you run heal, you do it like before and as it's coming. Like if he throws a Q and you exhaust while his Q is in midair, then the damage gets reduced because damage always applies when the ability actually hits the target. So if you put the exhaust on him, like the damage is calculated when it hits the target. So oh my, oh this could be a throw. Corky was huge, but now he died twice back to back. Anyway, like I was saying, which I completely forgot what I was saying before I started talking about that. So I think I sort of finished my thought though. So hopefully you guys aren't too confused. But you have the damage combo now, the death cap and the fiends. So I think at this point in the game, now that you have the two big items, then it gets it to be a better and better decision to go for the Banshee's Veil. Like you obviously would love to get a Void Staff because who doesn't love a Void Staff? Like the big three items on any APK are your Void Staff, Death Cap, and a Fiends. Ooh, the bomb on the invisible Wukong, that was dirty. Those are obviously the three items that you want, but you can't always get that, and they don't have that much magic resist. Like the only two people that have any magic resist are Wukong and Thresh, and they only have 25. I coach any level, it doesn't matter. That was just insane Thresh play. This dude is 0-5, but he just went hard. He didn't have a team at all, but he went hard. Oh, Rise might pick up a double. Oh, Shen is just 2v1ing. Oh, he's dead. He wasted his shield. Alright. Oof. I wasn't really paying attention to Ziggs there because I was too surprised with everything else that was going on. So let's go back and rewatch that from Ziggs' perspective. So, staying out of range of everything, that's what you want to do as Ziggs here. Thresh does a really good job of getting into the back line and causing a lot of trouble. Instead of walking through the box like that, you didn't need to. I mean, you have a pretty high auto attack range, so you don't need to walk through the box like that to help Corky. Instead, just sit outside and throw bombs. It's probably better in that situation to do what you did instead. Oh my. To do what you did instead of the other option there that you had. So basically you were split in the middle of a team fight. On one side of you, behind you, there was Corky, and on the other side there was Shen, who was like 3v1ing. And since Corky's pretty fed and it's worthwhile to save him most likely, and if you would have gone in to help Shen, you couldn't have saved Corky. So you'd made the right call there to save Corky instead. And then, because Shen's a tank, he should be able to survive, and if he doesn't, then he just went too deep, and you can blame your team. It's solo queue. But you stepped a little too close to that brush. You saw Rise run that direction, so you kind of got to be a little wary at least that he might be still there. And because he wasn't almost dead, he was pretty low, but he still had like 30% health. So you could have avoided dying there by just walking a little more north of that brush. Than you were, because you're Ziggs, you have that big range. If he walks out of the brush and he's not in range of his skills, you can just throw everything at him and kill him instantly. And then try and help Shen afterwards. They're so scared of over there. Really good black shield there. Stop the Wukong ult. Really nice ultimate. Trying to hit as many people as you can with that. Wukong's on your team. Use the satchel to separate distance. Very nice. Just as you're running and kiting like that, make sure to throw out bombs on the way. Never just run unless your only way, unless your only way of living is just running. You always want to be using your abilities and trying to kite at the maximum efficiency. And if you're an ADC, Obviously, they don't really spam their abilities that much, typically. Um, so if you're an ADC in that situation, you just run and hit A, which is the attack command, and you'll see like your auto attack range pop up, and you'll have like a little cursor as if you were clicking an ability, and then you can click like back like you're running, and you'll attack the nearest target. It's called attack moving. You attack the nearest target to you, so if it's like an enemy champion that's the closest target and you're trying to run, while you're right clicking away, you can just quickly hit A and click away as well, and then you'll auto attack and then you right click again to like keep moving. So it maximizes your movement and damage as well. Like that's how you kite in League of Legends pretty much. Like that's how all the pros do it. That's how I do it. But you guys have, even though they closed the gold lead a little bit, you guys were able to get the pretty good gold advantage back in your favor. 7,000 after that dragon. So basically at this point, you guys, it's 30 minutes in, you guys probably want to try and force a Baron fight, although it's extremely risky against the team that they have. Like I said earlier, the same reason that it's dangerous to pick a fight around Baron, or Dragon. At this point in the game, Rise is extremely strong, and Baron reduces or increases the magic damage you take by 50%. And as well as having Veigar, then if you guys get caught in a Baron that you like are like committed to doing, and they find you, then you guys are gonna lose the fight hands down. You'll probably get bursted out instantly. But if you guys can get wards in their jungle, in the spots that I mentioned last week in my video, here, and here, the big three brushes, then you just if they have it Baron warded, you bait them in, you start it, and just kind of do a little damage to it. And then if they have it warded, they'll all come running. Maybe they'll come in like one or two at a time. That's when your wards here are going to be great. You just peel off and kill them one or two at a time, and you just keep doing that until you keep generating a gold advantage, or someone, not someone, but your minions like split push bottom lane or something. And that's how you strategically close out games in situations like these. If you commit to the Baron, then you pretty much like give it to them because of how they can instantly kill you. Instead, you got to be smart and bait the Baron. And if they're smart, they won't fall for the bait. But in like this elo, people will fall for it almost every time. Oh my Veigar. Corki needs to get Banshee's Veil next item, no doubt in my mind. If he doesn't, that's just a misplay. So it looks to me like your team is fighting without you. They're forcing stuff that probably shouldn't be forced. But Volibear is really scary. And that was a good bomb. Volibear can attack Rise to kill. Yeah, if he had his Lightning Claws up, his ultimate, so he's able to attack right. Really nice satchel back on Wukong there. But for Volibear's ultimate, his auto attack spread to like 6 different targets or 7 different targets or something like that. So in that situation, when Thresh is running away, you just attack Rise, and then it'll bounce over to Thresh, and you can kill him with that part of the damage because Thresh was so low. Oh my, he flashed in for it. Jesus. That's pretty funny. So there's the Banshee's Veil coming through for you. That's why you get it against Veigar. And separate a little distance. There's 2 things you can do there. You can either satchel yourself away, or you can satchel them into your team, or away from you. In that situation, since you had another teammate running as well, it would have probably been better to just satchel them back. And that way Shen doesn't try and be a freaking hero and go in like that and keep you killed, and you could both escape. If you're alone though, you get further away by satcheling yourself. But if you're with a teammate, it's better to definitely satchel them away. And Rise is a little bit quicker here, I think. 400 to like what, 402? Yeah, 420. Oh man, that was quite a chase. Oh, it's got me laughing.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
And during that whole chase, he lost the tower. That's why it's very important to try and calculate the movement speed of your opponents and your movement speed, and can I catch him without, you know, diving tower. If Rise would have done that, he would have realized he probably wasn't going to catch him, and he wouldn't have lost his tower and got soloed by Volibear. Well, looks like Volibear's getting baited. He should be able to get this out. Oh, he's got the bite. He can't. Wow. Oh wait, no, it was on cooldown. He just used it. Volley almost escapes that. That's ridiculous. Good Ziggs bomb. They get out of it though because they were already dead. But yeah. Let's see where you are on the map at this point. Were you just coming back from base, probably? Yeah. So you're coming back from base. Your team is getting a little too aggressive with 0 ward coverage. This is common. I think it's gold 5, but like in gold through silver is. I mean, bronze, gold, and silver, honestly, is that people are fighting in the jungle with 0 ward coverage. I mean, if you ward here, here, any of these places, then you see that their whole team is coming up, and then you realize, oh, we don't have our mid laner. That's time to back out. And in that situation, they traded 3 for 2 for no reason. There is really no reason. Volibear got greedy for a Rise that had just chased all the way to their base, but then Volibear, I mean, pretty much committed the same crime and died himself and baited his whole team in. But that was a good play there. Drop the E to slow them and then just flash away. You never, if you have a champion that has a slow or mobility, like dash or whatever, then you never want to just flash if you can help it. Like, sometimes you have to flash to dodge the skill shot, sometimes you have to flash because you're going to die immediately and you don't have the cooldown. But if you can use an ability to either slow them or speed yourself up while you flash, then your flash becomes infinitely more useful because they can't instantly disable you and they can't get a slow on you or whatever. So basically, that's another lesson. Try and use your flash with something else if you have a champion that can do that. That Randuin's been trying to place a ward. I've done that too many times. That's funny. So Dragon's back up. Once again, there's almost no wards for either team. And I feel like I've said this so many times that everyone's going to hate me. But if you're on red team or even blue team, I mean, it doesn't matter who we're talking about here because the learning point is the same. Like, basically, blue team won the fight. Blue team won the fight over here, where Ziggs was the last one left because Volley got caught. You know, you remember that one from like 2 minutes ago? Since in a situation where your team wins a fight, you should be thinking that's the time to ward, because you know that there's going to be no one there to stop you from warding or kill you. That shit's going down real quick. I feel bad talking about something completely different. It's alright, I'll rewind anyway. So, like, that's the time when you ward. After you win a fight, if there's no objective to take that you have to rush down, just ward up their jungle. The big 3 brushes, 1, 2, 3. Get those down, and then you'll know when they're coming in, when they're coming out. Alright, let me go back, start over, and actually talk about this fight. Alright, so it looks like a pretty good fight. They're pretty grouped up. Use a few with the bomb, but Corki gets instantly melted, and Rise is just in the back line on you, and Wukong is actually willing to blow his ultimate only on you at the start. So, had you guys had a ward, wait, you guys did have a ward. Okay, well, Rise was just able to get too close to you, and so basically, you need to stay at max range on Ziggs at all times. Otherwise, you should probably be playing like a different AP, like maybe Ari, or someone who has the ability to do extreme damage or dash around. Ziggs, although he's mobile because of his W, you can explode yourself in a certain direction. It's a very... Wow. I need to watch that again. It's a very long cooldown, and you can only use it once for every like 15, 18 seconds, something like that. Let me see this in action. Max range hook, follows him all the way under tower and just snipes him. And he runs the wrong way to die. Wow. No, he lives. He lives. No, he dies. No, he dies. Had he ran down, he would have lived. But anyway, that's besides the point. So basically, yeah, Ziggs, you just have to stay max range. That's why I don't like the Lich Bane pickup here. I think that you would have been better off with the Void Staff. I always hear random noises. I think I'm gonna die one day, but I think you would have been better with the Void Staff over the Lich Bane here, because if you get in range, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Anyway, if you get in range for the Lich Bane, then you're gonna be in range of what the fuck? You're gonna be in range of everything that Vhagar has and everything that Ryze has, and obviously Wukong Dash. So you're putting yourself in an extremely vulnerable position just to do a little bit more auto attack damage. And that item was nerfed, so it doesn't do as much as it used to. Like, maybe last patch, or last two patches, I could have seen you maybe getting it, but I never really liked that item on Ziggs. I feel like he's better as just a long-range nuker, and the Void Stat is just going to do more for you overall than the Lich Bane will, especially in a team like this where if you get close, you die. You just sit on the outskirts with Ziggs and throw as much AoE and try and hit as many targets as you can. Because if you die, I mean, if you misposition yourself, you're gonna die, and if you die, then obviously you don't do anything in fights. So it's better to just stay safe and poke from a long range, which is one of the reasons you got the Banshee's Veil, to prevent yourself from getting bursted from Vhagar. But if you walk in range of like Ryze and them, then you're still not gonna be invincible because you got a Banshee's Veil. You're still really squishy. Holy, there's a hero. He's dead. He's so tanky, man. Oh my, no way. No way. The Ryze finally shuts it down. Wukong's just trying to waste a lot of you guys this time here. And it looks like he did a pretty good job. You see right here, that's like an example of why the Lich Bane just is not as good on Ziggs, because you tried to auto attack him and you died for it. Like, it was just that simple, because they have the damage to do that to you. So had you had the Void Staff, you could have just continued to kite there and throw out bombs and not even try and get close. Like the last game when I was playing Nidalee, and like I would throw Qs all day and just destroy people, and then as soon as I go into Cougar, I just die. Ziggs is very similar to Nidalee in that way, that you just don't want to get close to people, and that's why Lich Bane is just not a good item on him. I don't think it's a good item. I mean, situationally it can be good against certain team comps, but against the one you're facing, I would not suggest. I would never suggest getting a Lich Bane here. And the Baron still hasn't even been talked about in this game at all. There was no way that they could have done it after winning this fight, though, because they were so low. So it's gonna have to be a team that's willing, and this is hard to do, especially in silver. People are never really thinking about baiting a Baron, but it has to take one team that's willing to bait a Baron, most likely, for this game to have a Baron in it, because the way fights are going right now is that 3 or 4 people die on each team and one person limps away with like 10% health. And that means that Baron and other objectives are going to get, like, their emphasis is taken down a lot. Like, if you win fights and only lose a few people, even if you're high health, like if you lose only 2 people in a fight and you have 3 people left and they have no one who can contest, even if you're pretty low health, you can still do Baron. But it's just, that's not how this game is panning out. So that's, I mean, that kind of makes baiting a Baron even more important, because there's no other way to get it. The yawn is real. The farm is falling off pretty hard. No one's even at 300 at 43 minutes, but it gets pretty hard to farm this late in the game. You see pros and things and like high elo players having high farm because In like fives, it's pretty easy to communicate where you're going to go farm, so that not a lot of farm is lost, and a lot of high elo players just play for themselves and just farm everything, like 50G and Medios and those kind of things. So I mean, it's not necessarily bad for low farm to be happening in the game, as long as your farm is relative, like good relative to the rest of like the enemy, then you're in a good spot, because it's all about relativity in this game, because every game is different. And if you're team fighting a lot, like for example in this game there's 78 kills at 44 minutes, then I mean there's probably not, you're not going to have perfect CS, because everyone's died almost 10 times or something like that, 5 to 10 times. Oliver just being a hero, I think he just lost in the game though. But she's saying she got carried, so I think they throw actually here. Morgana never ulted before she's on this. That was a huge mistake. Yeah, I don't know why you had to ruin it for us, but it's alright. This Shen has been just going so hard and quirky, and oh man. Just getting too close on Ziggs once again. I think that's the number one thing you should take out of me coaching you right now, is that if you're gonna play a champion like Ziggs, then you gotta play him like a long range poke siege champ, and not get into melee range or get even that close. Otherwise, you should be playing, you know, a close range mage bruiser or something. I mean, there's not a lot of those in this game, because most mages are squishy because you build damage. So, my best bet suggestion for you would be Rise, probably. Because Rise, while he's pretty short range AP mage, or mana mage, I guess one could say, he is basically, because he scales up for mana, he builds tanky, because you don't have to get a lot of AP to be strong, and a lot of the mana items have health or defensive stats on them, just like you see here, Frozen Heart, Rod of Ages. Those both have a ton of mana on them, and they're really great on Rise. Same with Seraphs, actually, too, because it gives you a shield. But it gives you just free tankiness. I mean, it's not free, but to Rise, it's pretty free, because he scales up the mana for actual offensive stats, instead of just a bigger source pool to play with. Diana, she's fun. I don't think she's that good right now. She definitely can snowball pretty hard. She's better in the mid lane than jungle, I will agree with that, but she just gets outpoked and pretty hard by a lot of the flavor of the month champions, and she relies a lot on burst, and she doesn't have insane sustained damage, and if you hit the Q, she's completely useless. And in this meta, Exhaust got nerfed pretty hard. I mean, buffed pretty hard, to where if you go in on Diana and you get exhausted, you're probably, I mean, one, you're not going to do damage and you're not going to kill anybody, but two, you're probably going to just die, especially if it's in a team fight. When do I do coaching? I do coaching every week, and this is only the second week of it, but it's probably going to be on Tuesday and Wednesday every week. So tell your friends if you got friends that want coaching as well. And yeah, just come back if you want to be a piece of it. Just follow me. Oh wow, that was a dumpster fest. Just follow me on Twitch, and the day that I'm doing the coaching, I'll have it'll send you an email if you're following me saying, you know, Cam the Carrier just started his stream, and then I'll tell you the title of the stream, and if it's coaching, viewer coaching or anything like that, then you'll know that that's the day that I'm actually streaming coaching. Alright, well, it looks like the game is over. But I'm gonna just go back and look at this fight, because I was too busy answering questions to see exactly what had happened there. And they won the fight, so I do want to see it. So, Shen being a meat shield, Shen and Volibear in the very front here, getting a good engage on Veigar. That's exactly what you want to do as tanks. Wukong also doing the right thing, diving the backline with his ultimate, but he just doesn't have any damage to follow up. And you're doing a pretty good job this fight of staying at range. You got a little too close to the box there, a little too close to Thresh. But at this point, like this positioning like against MF is pretty solid because Thresh isn't going to be able to do anything to you, and he already wasted his hook. And so basically, MF would. I think she was in range of you, but I don't think she could have clicked on you because there was just too much going on for her to deal with it. So the way that fight panned out worked really well for the Lich Bane buy. But that's not always going to be the case. So I still think you should have really gone Void Staff there instead, but it looks like you guys did it.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
Can't speed it up. Oh, I'm live? No, I'm not
Team's
live.
inhibitor has been destroyed.
Yeah, this game is so freaking long. I don't even want to touch another game after that, honestly, but if people want to get coached, I will. It's just like, God, that was 50 minutes of me talking about